Hi, I'm Brad Pretzer. I am the third party risk management analyst and I am assigned to your account. One of the reasons why I'm making this video is in case I'm out sick or I'm unable to make a meeting, the CS analyst can send you this video and that way you can go ahead and submit an MVA right away. Because some vendors you want to get assessed as soon as possible because you want to sign an SLA or a contract and you don't have time to wait and you just want the training. What this is for people who really just want to get started and want to begin the MVA process as soon as possible. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to minimize this video and walk you through the process. It's not very hard. And don't worry, I'm going to send you a PDF file along with this video explaining the process and frequently asked questions, along with tiering and how you should also classify the data the vendor has access to. So let's get into it. All right, so what you would first click on is right here, vendor risk. Right here. And then you would go over to managed assessment. And right here, you would input the information. So preferred completion date, that's really up to you. We like to give 2 weeks to all of our vendors to complete the MVA because it is quite robust. But you might have a company that has a high turnaround time. Like I have a vendor right now that's going to take 90 days to complete an MVA. And they were very honest with that and very open. And they also told the customer that right away. So it just might depend on the vendor. And also if they're a small ma and pa place, it may take them longer to do the MVA. So let's go ahead and just set a time here. I'm going to put July 3rd, 2025. I'm not sure what time it is where you are or what date it is, but that's where I'm going to put. Additional notes or questions, for example, let us know if you're going away and if someone else will be managing the task. So just anything that I might need to know or any analyst who is doing this might need to know. If you're leaving or going on leave for for a few months and someone else is taking over for you and you're just submitting it, let us know that so we have the proper contact. And the main contact, that would be you, most likely the person filling this out. But if it's also someone else internally, you can go ahead and put that person as well. If it's say like the person who's over IT operations, they might be better suited for being the contact for an MVA. And so I just put my name here and just to get us started here. And right down here, you would select a vendor. You would just simply put in Amazon Web Services, like this right here, or you can also put in AWS.com. So, or you can put in Apple.com, whatever, ServiceNow.com, and that will work. And you can also just put in Amazon Web Services if you want to, and then simply click on it, and then that is it. And that is the first part of the service detail. And click next. And as you can see, here's the vendor name, Amazon Web Services. And remember, this is just a test vendor. It is not real. We're just doing this for you. And right here is add portfolios. If you want to add any portfolios, depending on what type of vendor this is something that you can customize if you want to. The tier. Is this a tier 1 vendor? Is it critical to your operations? Is this a tier 2 vendor where it's not critical to operations, but they have access to highly sensitive information and it could cause issues if something were to happen? And don't worry, all these classifications will be in the FNQ that I've sent to you in the PDF file. So you will fully know how to classify your vendors from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and so on. Now there is a tier 4 that I put in there, which is very low, which you can also put in there if you want as well, just to make sure that there's classifications for all types of vendors. So I'm going to click on tier 1 vendor because this is a tier 1 critical vendor. And labels. This is just, what will the vendor have access to, the vendor relationship, and you can customize this however you want. So you don't have to use these if you want. You can add and customize it any way that you want to classify your vendors. I'm going to go ahead and put business data and customer data. Now the vendor contact, this right here, you would just add a vendor contact, click in here. I put John Doe of IT operations, john.doe at aws.com. Let me go ahead and put that in there. John Doe, john.doe at aws.com. Say IT operations. And if you don't know their title, that's okay too. But what's really important is their name and the email, of course. And this right here is the invite email that will be sent to the vendor. Again, this will be the invite email sent to the vendor. It will just kind of like introduce us and everything like that. And I also send a personal email myself to the vendor introducing myself and also anyone else who might be helping me. And that way the vendor knows that this is legit. And I also CC you, the customer, on that email. So if the vendor knows that this is a legit email, and they will, of course, do the MVA. And if they have any follow-up questions, they can ask you as well. And right here, this is the meat and potato of the entire MVA process. Supporting information. This is the most important part of the entire process. What is the purpose and scope of this risk assessment? The scope of this risk assessment is determine the overall security posture and its potential impact on our company. That's what I put. You can put whatever you want in there, but I just want you to make sure that you put something that why you're doing the risk assessment. Some people put we have a SOC audit coming up and we need to have a certain amount of our tier 1 vendors completed. And so you can also put that as well. Or you're just doing your annual review of your vendors. What product or service does this vendor provide to you? Again, this is just test data. I just put this in here. It doesn't necessarily mean this is how you're using your vendor for. This is just an example. Endpoint detection and response and managed detection and response. So this is for endpoint detection. And that would be endpoint on your servers. What systems will the vendor have access to within your environment? All endpoints and servers. So that's kind of a critical one vendor. They're going to have access to a lot of your information. And what specific data will the vendor have access to? Internal systems, employee data, PII, and confidential information. And how sensitive and confidential or critical is the data the vendor will have access to? Highly confidential and critical. Are there any important details about this vendor we should be aware of? This vendor is new and we have not used them yet. Again, let's go through this again. What's the purpose and scope of this risk assessment? This is important. We need to know why you're reassessing them. It could be your annual review. It could be for a SOC audit. It could be for an auditor wants you to do this for this particular vendor. What products or services does this vendor provide to you? It could be anything from HR software to API. It could be any number of things. So just make sure to put that here, how you use it, what application you're using, because remember, different SOC audits are for different applications and APIs. So we want to make sure that we're auditing the correct portion that you are using. And let me explain. A big company like, say, Microsoft or Amazon Web Services is going to have several products and services that they offer. And they can have 20, 30 SOC audits for the different programs and applications that they offer. So just make sure to put what you're using with this particular vendor, how you're using them, and what application or service that you're using. So we make sure that we have access to the proper SOC audit for this particular vendor. What systems will the vendor have access to in your environment? All endpoints and servers. It could be completely different. They may not have access to your servers at all or your information. Just put that there. And remember, you can always ask your IT operations specialist what specifically they have access to if you want to get more granular, and let us know that. What specific data will the vendor have access to? I put internal systems, employee data, PI, and confidential information. Remember, this is all just test information. None of it's actually real. And how sensitive and confidential or critical is the data? I put highly confidential and critical, but remember, that is your classification. I gave you that information, but you also need to determine if something's critical or highly confidential or confidential. So you need to determine that, what that is to your company. Are there any important details about this vendor? You can put just anything that is pertinent, anything that I need to know. This vendor is new, and we have not used them yet. Oh, that's good to know. So you're doing your initial review of the company before you sign a contract or SLA. And that is the portion right here. And this is where you would upload documents. And you may have access to some documents, and some documents you may not. We do prefer to getting a SOC audit if you can, SOC 2 Type 2. And we do like ISO 27001 certification and ISO 27001 SOA, and a pen test, a penetration test for whatever API or application that you're using, and any other supporting documentations. If there's remediation that needs to be completed or done for the SOC audit or the pen test that are open findings, you can upload that as well. And keep in mind, if you don't have access to this information, don't worry about it. That's our job, to reach out to the vendor to get those documents. And also the vendor, when they do the MVA, the vendor assessment, the questionnaire that's sent to them, they also do have the options to upload the documents in that URL, that secure link that we send them when they're doing the questionnaire. So you don't have to do this, but in case you do have access to the information, that would be great. And also, you do have those huge vendors like Amazon Web Services, ServiceNow, Google, that may not fill out the MVA. They will not do the questionnaire because they're just too big and they have too many customers. So you can upload the documents there, and then we'll use the AI autofill to complete the questionnaire for that vendor. Because you will always have those huge vendors that just don't respond, and they just don't. They're just too many customers, and they just can't do all of them. And then click next. So again, here's where you would upload important documents. And this is kind of review. All right, preferred completion date, additional notes. That's up to you what you want to give me. Main contact, that would most likely be you or someone internally at your company. The vendor details, we put AWS. Again, this is just a test. Portfolio, that's depending on how you want to use that, how you want to classify it. And tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4, that will be explained in the PDF document. And I wouldn't recommend doing a tier 4 or tier 3 vendor with the MVA. The reason being is the MVA assessment is quite robust. Do it for your critical and your tier 2 because it's quite a large questionnaire, and it might be a little too robust for a small mom and pa company that is like maybe a tier 3 or tier 4. But if you ever want us to do it, we'll do it for you, of course, because it might be a requirement for an internal stakeholder. But notate that there. And then labels, again, however you want to use those labels, you can. I just selected business data and customer data because it's already available. The vendor contact, I put John Doe, and he's IT operations, john.doe at AWS. And again, this is the request form that will be sent to the vendor right here. And remember, you can also do a relationship questionnaire as well if you want to. And the CS analyst will go over that if that's something that you want to do. Because you might have hundreds of vendors, and some of the vendors you may not know how you use them. And that's okay. That happens, especially if you're new, or if an internal stakeholder that quit 2-3 years ago signed on some random vendor and you're not sure what you're paying them for. That happens sometimes, and that's okay. And we can send out a relationship questionnaire, or you can. And that way, the vendor will put in there how you're, what services you're using. However you want to do it, you can customize the relationship questionnaire. We also do have ones available for you as well. And the CS analyst will go over that with you if you need them to. And that does help us out, of course. And of course, here would be any documents if you uploaded like a SOC report or anything like that. And then you would click submit. After you click submit, it will go to me. I will start the process. I'll send an email. I'll send the questionnaire to the vendor. I'll review all this information right here, because remember, this is the most important information of the entire process. How you use the vendor, what data they have access to, what systems they have access to. Are they highly confidential or critical to your company? And any additional information that you want to give us. So remember, this is the most important part, is this right here, of the entire process. As you can see, this is only, 4 pages? This right here, this process is really easy to do. You can do this in 2-3 minutes. But what might take you some time is gathering this information here. And we understand that. And that's what the relationship questionnaire is for as well, which the CS analyst will go over with you. And keep in mind, we can also reach out to the vendor on your behalf for you and simply ask a few questions like, hey, how do you use this? What services do you provide? So on and so on. We can do that for you as well. And then you click submit. And then after that, it would use one of your licenses. And then we would start the MVA process. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me or the CS analyst that is over your account. And we'd be more than glad to help you out. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon.